What is going on, Trash Talkers? We're back with another episode for you. In today's video, we're going to be talking about training camp standouts for every team in the AFC North. All that and much more coming your way right now. All right, Nick. So training camp is upon us, and we are getting close to the first official preseason games. And that means that there's been a lot of training camp already to have been had, padded practices. We've seen some players rise, we've seen some players fall. I want to take some time to talk about the players that are on the rise. I want to talk about some of the players that have made a name from them for themselves in this training camp, specifically with the AFC North. And I want to start off with the Steelers. And some names that really stood out to me when taking a look at the Steelers were edge player Alex Highsmith, tight end Pat Fryermuth, and cornerback James Pierre. Out of these players, which do you see as the biggest upside player so far for the Steelers?
Yeah, all three of these guys have had really standout performances so far throughout training camp. But I think Pat Freiermuth, the second round pick for the Pittsburgh Steelers this past season, he's a big addition that they've been looking for. Big Ben has not had that big, strong tight end in a while. Eric Ebron is the complete opposite. He is more of the Evan Ingram type, he's more of the receiver type. So having Pat Freiermuth on this team and having him stand out is exactly what Big Ben wants to see. I think that he is going to be a big part of this offense this season.
Absolutely. Next up, we have the Cincinnati Bengals. And the players that I've seen from the Bengals are Trent Taylor at wide receiver, Trey Waynes, the cornerback, and running back Puka Williams. Out of these, the biggest name that stands out to me is actually Trey Waynes. Trey Waynes coming over from the Minnesota Vikings a year ago really struggled with the Cincinnati Bengals in his first season and didn't really show up to be the player that he was when he was with the Minnesota Vikings. Now it's nice to see him actually progressing, getting through this training camp really nicely. Again, as we've said with multiple teams, with players that came over last year, it was tough because they didn't really have a preseason. They didn't get to really learn the playbook or work with the coaching staff. And at this point, I think that Trey Waynes has the full season underneath him. He's working with this coaching staff. He understands what's expected of him. I think he's really just taking his talents to another level at this point and really showing out for the Bengals. I like Trey Waynes here. I think he's the biggest upside for the Bengals moving forward.
Next up, we have the Cleveland Browns, and to me, their standouts are cornerback. Yes, I said that cornerback, AJ Green, David Njoku, their tight end, and wide receiver, Donovan Peoples Jones. And to me, I've been really hyped around Donovan Peoples Jones since he came into the league last year. He started to look good towards the end of last season, and now he's continuing that. Going into training camp, he has looked phenomenal, and I believe that he's another big piece that the Browns can add to their wide receiver core. The rich just keep getting richer up over in Cleveland. This team has an embarrassment of riches, but it's nice to see them on the winning side of football for once.
Finally, we have the Baltimore Ravens, where I've seen players like Justin Matabuki on the defensive line, Deion Kane at wide receiver, and Ben Cleveland at offensive guard. These are major names that have really stepped up in training camp and through this offseason. But I want to focus on Justin Matabuki. I think that he is one of those guys that can be an absolute disruptor for this team. Now, I've seen a lot of great things coming from Calais Campbell as well, but I also want to talk about Justin Matabuki because these two can play next to each other. And if you have Calais Campbell in his Jaguars days, in his Arizona Cardinals days, if you have that Calais Campbell with an upside Justin Matabuki, this interior defensive line is going to be absolutely nasty. These guys with the edge players that they have now in Baltimore, it's going to be something to be feared. And I like what I've seen from him. He's very quick off the snap. He's very aggressive, and he can get into the backfield early and often. So I really like what I've seen so far. The Ravens are absolutely gushing over this guy, and I can't wait to see what he can do in the regular season.
The defensive tackle depth for the Ravens is very apparent, and honestly, they have so much depth on that line. They could run a 5-2 formation, 5 defensive linemen and 2 linebackers. I mean, you've got Odafe Owe and you've got Derek Wolfe on the outside, but then you also have Brandon Williams, who's a pure nose tackle. Put him in the middle with Calais Campbell and Madubuike as well. Those 5 together, absolutely terrifying.
All right, well, I want to hear from you guys. So let us know down in the comments below who you think has stood out for any of these teams in the AFC North. I'm really interested. Players that we haven't talked about. Maybe we haven't really seen some of these guys. So I want to hear from you guys. Let us know. All right, well, that's going to be all for now. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell. We go live every single day. That'll be all. Peace and love.